puzzles? You're talking about how you did the training.
Yeah, so I enjoy the puzzles. I'm very strict. Very well to 8 out of 10 right, and then I'll right after that like 8 out of 10 wrong type deal.
Right.
So I enjoy doing them. A lot of the times, like I was doing one kind of like waking my brain up before we did this, right? And I looked at it, and there's sometimes I just don't understand like the move order or why things were done in certain ways, that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So like, there's stuff like that that I just don't understand, but I enjoy doing them.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, do you do them pretty much every day then?
I try to, like I kind of like, hey, when I'm in the bathroom or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'll do like 5 of them, or whatever. Like, or if I'm just like hanging out waiting on, my son to finish up Taekwondo, like that kind of stuff, and I'll do it.
Definitely. Yeah, that's great. It's like exercise. You get it in when you can, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, hey,
definitely.
I'm a busy dude, and I gotta grab it when I can do it.
Hey, what's like the max amount of time that you spend on one puzzle?
I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, something like that.
That's great. Yeah, you shouldn't be spending more than like 5 minutes on any puzzle.
Yeah.
Really.
I think if I don't know it by then it's just not happening.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to like increase your pattern recognition and your ability to calculate short variations quickly.
Yeah.
So if it's taking you that long to calculate a short variation, you obviously don't understand the pattern at all. You just need to move on to something else.
Right.
And there are times to spend, like, if you and I are looking at a position, you could potentially spend like 10 minutes on a position because we're not necessarily doing tactics training. We're trying to like understand the position and figure out what's going on. And tactics might just be part of it.
Cool. Okay.
Let's see. What else do I normally ask people? What about like tournament experience?
I've played one. We have a local chess club, and the first Wednesday of every month, I guess, they do like a blitz tournament. And the guys there are so much better than me. Like I have no business doing it, but like I did my first one, this May.
Oh, did you? So you only played in a blitz tournament, though?
Yeah, like I've never done. I just started playing like December-ish.
All right.
And so I was actually just really happy to find that we had a chess club in my area. We're not a huge city,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just trying to go and absorb as much information as I can, and go from there.
Absolutely, that's great. Yeah, so you've never played in a slow tournament then?
No.
Yeah. What about, have you ever played like slow time control games on the internet?
Yeah, so I played, in Lichess, I typically play like a 10 or 15 minute game. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff that I'd been reading is like, hey, Blitz is probably too fast, for like regular, like trying to like play a well thought out game for me. So I do 10 or 15 minutes if I can, or if I don't have the time to like devote half an hour to a game, then I'll play Stockfish, and I can I'll just close it out and start it back up later,
Right. Yeah, I think it's really smart to play some slower time control games online just to get you in the habit, habit.
Sure.
But I would also think if you really want to get better at chess, you got to play in some slow tournaments over the board.
Okay.
That's definitely like a goal that you should try to. I mean, just playing in a tournament is a goal. That's all.
Okay.
But if you're consistently playing, you'll be getting better. And you and I will analyze the games, and then I'll say, like, you did all this stuff wrong. And then you're like, what? I thought that was right. And I'm like, no, it's wrong.
No, you're way off.
Yeah, so that'll be like our lessons, and you'll get better.
Cool.
Theoretically.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyways, like I said, I don't know much about like your actual, your skills. I don't know if they pay the bills.
Probably not at this point.
Right. So we're gonna have to test them out. So I usually show these two positions to my students, like new students. Okay. They're pretty dense. Like they've got a lot of ideas in them, but they're nothing too complicated. Okay. It's nothing like that. It's nothing I would expect would be beyond your grasp.
Okay.
Unless you're, under 1,000 or so. Right, yeah, maybe it will be. Who knows?
Yeah,
so I'll go ahead and invite you here.
Okay. I think on Lichess I'm somewhere around 1,200.
Right, I took a peek at your ratings there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this won't be too complicated for you. So yeah, I invited you to a study. You get a little notification in the top right little bell icon probably popped up. And just click on it. You can come and see my study.
Okay.
It should be called Test Position.
Yep.
And yeah, we got a couple of chapters here. You can see there's 2 chapters, this one, and there's chapter 2 here, which is a little bit less material on the board.
Okay.
But I'm usually just trying to get through chapter 1, and if we have extra time, we can look at chapter 2 also.
All right.
And yeah, I have it set, like, in the studies, you can edit some settings, and I have it set so you can't, like, use the computer or opening Explorer. So, but yeah, I could, sometimes I'll not have it set like that, like, especially if you and I are analyzing, like, your own games.
Yeah.
Like, if you just played in a tournament, I'll have it so you and I can both see the opening book, and I'll be like, hey, look in the opening book, it says this move, you know, so that's the kind of thing that'll happen.
Gotcha.
If we look at that.
Okay.
But all right, so it's white to play here, and I'll just let you think about the position. You could think out loud, tell me, you know, your thought process, and I want, you know, at the end of the day, I want to move for white and a variation, you know, for both sides to continue, and then also finally an evaluation, like white's winning or black's better, something like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the first couple things that I see, you know, obviously there's a bit of a battery with the queen and the bishop on, you know, c2 and d3.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't really see if I take the knight, he takes with the bishop. I can't really take with the queen because then the queen just takes me and I can't. I don't have any way to take back, I guess. You know, knight takes g6, but then there's not really, again, not much of a continuation. That's just kind of trading material, I guess. If I go knight d7 to attack the rook, then I'm going to get hit with the bishop. So there's not much there. Yeah, I guess I could take the knight on f1 and either move to g3 or e3, and that would solve the queen and bishop problem. Yeah, and I don't really know what of those would be kind of the good moves, or if they're all bad moves, you know, kind of the direction to go there. I don't know.
Well, they're all candidate moves. You did a great job finding candidate moves. Not the easiest thing to do. You found a lot of really good ideas, and maybe they're not going to work right now, but maybe you can aim towards them.
Okay.
Or maybe they will work. I mean, you didn't analyze them too deeply, but you suggested a lot of forcing moves, which is really good. Moves that are checks, captures, or threats.
Right.
Well, none of them were checks because there's no checks possible.
Yeah.
But you made a lot of captures and threats. Any other forcing moves that you could find for white, other than the ones you already suggested?
I could move the pawn to g4. I could take on h6 with the bishop. I could, may not really be forcing. I could advance the c pawn to c4, but that would lose the d pawn. I don't really see much else that would be terribly forcing.
Well, you suggested a lot of forcing moves there, yeah.
Yeah, I guess knight to f7 would be a forcing move.
Wouldn't really expect that.
Well, I wouldn't do it. I'm just looking for,
Right.
I'm just looking for other moves that I could do.
I hear you. Absolutely. Yeah, because if you were analyzing any of those candidate moves that you suggested so far, to me, none of them look too great.
Yeah, there's none of them that were like, you know what? Yeah, that looks like the right answer.
Yeah, they all look okay, some of them.
Yeah.
So far, personally, I'd probably play like knight g3 or knight e3, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Because you'll notice that white also has a problem. The knight is hanging on e5. I mean, it's attacked 3 times.
Yeah.
And only defended 2 times.
Right.
Now, I'm no mathematician, but I would be uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about some other things.
Okay.
Loose pieces. You know about loose pieces?
You mean like undefended pieces?
Loose pieces are, well, that's usually how people think of them. Undefended, yes. They're pieces that are attacked and defended the same number of times.
Okay.
So that could be like they're defended 10 times and attacked 10 times.
Right.
To me, that's still a loose piece. Usually it's 0, like on b7.
Okay.
That's a loose pawn. Like you're saying, it's just undefended.
Yeah.
And it's unattacked. What else in black's position is attacked and defended the same number of times?
I don't know. That queen protects a whole lot.
Yeah, on f6, you mean?
Yeah. It's just, it's protecting
That's
a lot.
true.
I don't see anything that's the same. It's probably not the right answer, but
Right, I probably wouldn't ask you then. Maybe I would. Yep, nothing's there. Just fooling. I was thinking about this knight on f5.
Yeah, I guess I didn't count the queen, like my queen.
Right, but a classic battery.
Yeah.
You said so yourself.
That was the first thing I saw.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, I mean, imagine if one of these pieces wasn't here, you would just take it for free.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that knight on f5, and this is the key to the position, is that loose piece. And most of the time, people lose material because they have a loose piece. That's usually how it goes.
Well, and me moving the knight to either e3 or g3, that was
Puts
my
more
initial
pressure.
thought was to change the balance of that.
But that would kind of solve black's problem, though. Black would just trade the knight away. Simply.
Yeah.
No problem at all. And continue to take on e5, winning a pawn, like we had already discussed.
Which that's a problem.
Right. So you shouldn't just attack the knight with the knight, they'll trade knights.
Gotcha. Okay.
But you can remove the defender. Get one of these 2 pieces out of there. Make sure they can't defend the knight anymore. Then we could take the knight. That's a common way to win a loose piece. Remove the defender.
Yeah.
So how are we going to coax one of those 2 pieces to vacate?
I mean, if I moved my e5 knight, then the bishop would be. I mean, I don't know how I feel about being down in exchange, but that would move the bishop. Either with me there, you know what I mean, or with them moving away.
Well, but if you just kept the bishop there and you took it, they'd replace it with the pawn.
Yeah.
The knight would still be defended even more than it is now. 3 times, because the work on f8 helps too. So that would sort of be the counterproductive.
That's the wrong direction.
Right. Exactly.
So, I mean, if I went to, I guess I could go to d7 maybe with the knight.
Yeah, you talked about that move before too.
Yeah. I mean, that would attack the rook, and I guess the only thing he can do is either take with the bishop. But I guess then he would still be defending f5.
Yeah, that's just easily winning for black. You're almost there, though.
What if I went c4? As you guys say, it's explosive.
It seems like you lost focus there.
Well, what I was thinking is if I went c4, and then either he takes with the pawn or he doesn't. I was trying to get my queen up to c4, but that doesn't do anything. No, I'm kind of losing the thread here.
You're missing the key threat. Just attack his queen.
The only thing I see that does that is the bishop. But then if I take bishop to g5, then he's just going to take with the h pawn, wouldn't he?
Agreed. So that's not right. Look for another move to attack the queen. What else could attack the queen?
Knight to g4.
That looks right. Don't you think?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, knight g4 attacks the queen, no problem there.
Yeah.
But all right, so that looks like a good threatening move, and it's attacking the guy who's defending our loose knight on f5 that we're trying to pick up.
Yeah.
So that's great. But we still have to think, what is black going to do after that? What do you think?
Well, he's got to move the queen.
Certainly.
If I was black, I'd probably retreat it.
Then what would white do?
Well, then white's going to take on f5.
Winning a knight.
Yeah.
So, it seems like knight g4 is winning then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Knight g4 exclam, best move. Attacking the queen, and if the queen moves away, free knight.
Yep.
But, okay, let's look a little bit more in depth, because I will spoil it here and tell you, black's not losing. But it looks like it. But we have to think about black's options. So what are black's serious options you would consider here? Just lay them out for me.
I would go queen h4, maybe.
That's one option. What else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only other options really are for the queen to retreat, either to e7 or d8.
Right, so those are the only three moves that don't hang the queen. Exactly. And one of those three moves is the best move. Doesn't even lose material. But you're going to have to use the power of calculation to figure out which one's the best for black. So let's say queen h4 first, because that was the first one you looked at.
Yeah.
You know what white's going to do, right?
Well, I would assume that they would go to g3.
No. You forgot all about what we were doing with white. It was only half a
we're talking about the back. So we'll take on f5.
Yeah. Yeah, queen h4, bishop f5.
Yeah.
Then what?
Well, then the queen's going to take on g4. Wouldn't he?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, fair enough.
I wouldn't. Well, why not? Why wouldn't I do that?
Oh, well, I guess because the bishop would just take it.
Yeah, conveniently enough, bishop defends g4 when you take the knight.
Yeah.
How nice is that? I love it when that works out.
It's almost like somebody drew it up that way.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got our queen on h4.
Yeah. Bishop f5.
And bishop on f5. Then would I take with the other bishop?
It's the only logical try, I guess.
Yeah.
Couldn't really find another move myself.
Yeah.
And then white would obviously play.
Then yeah, I'm having a hard time visualizing it. So if I do here, and then we take, and then black takes back on e5, then queen takes back on f5.
Mm-hmm.
So then you've got I don't know what the continuation is for black.
I couldn't really find a good move there either.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That looks like black lost a piece and is losing.
So queen h4 is wrong.
Correct.
So if we do e7, then that kind of creates a battery in the other direction. Not heading towards the queen. I mean, the king.
But anyways, what would white play?
Still do the same thing.
Definitely.
Right. So bishop takes f5, and then black retakes.
Mm-hmm.
Then queen retakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything black can do there?
I mean, they could kick the queen with moving the pawn to g6.
No. That's illegal. There's a knight on g6.
Oh, shit. I was thinking I'd move that.
Yeah, they took your other knight, not that.
Yeah.
But there is a good move there for black. Black is not losing there. Even though black lost a piece so far, black's got a really good capture. Don't forget to look at all your captures.
E1?
Exactly. Free rook.
E1? Yeah.
And black lost the piece on f5, but won a rook on e1, so he's up the exchange.
Yeah.
And that's actually good for black.
Sure.
And this is why queen e7 is the right move. It stops white from just taking on f5.
Yeah, and it's funny. I just didn't even see that. My brain immediately did the whole battery thing. You know what I mean? And it was going in the wrong direction. Yeah.
Who even cares about that? What are you talking about?
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I looked at that and I was like, well, clearly that's not right.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with anything. Right. But it is about this situation. Tell me about that rook on e1. It's loose.
Yeah. Nothing there.
Loose rook on e1. If that rook was defended, white could just take the knight on f5, free piece. No questions asked. But because the rook on e1's loose, white is not allowed to take twice without losing material.
So at some point, c2 would be nice to defend that rook twice. I mean, I'd connect the rooks and then The
Sorry, you said C2 would be nice?
Well, yeah, if I move the bishop up to C2.
Oh, D2. D2.
D2. Yeah, sorry.
Bishop D2. Yeah,
sorry,
definitely. In fact, bishop D2 would be a forcing move. Right?
For who?
Well, white would be making a threat after bishop D2.
Okay.
And white would threaten bishop takes F5.
Yeah.
And in that case, any bishop move to connect the rooks will threaten bishop takes F5. Right?
Yeah.
That definitely has to be the case.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, maybe we can look at some more aggressive bishop moves from C1. Where else could the bishop go?
Are we before the knight is gone or after
Just
the
right
knight is
now.
gone?
White's turn right now.
Well, I mean, it could take on H6.
Bingo. Sacrificing a piece, but attempting to win a piece. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely Queen E7 with X-Clan. That's definitely the move to look at. Let's take a look, huh? That's what I played. So now black has a couple of reasonable options that we have to consider. So what are black's candidates' moves?
I mean, knight takes G6.
H6, but yes.
H6, sorry. Pawn
Exactly.
take H6.
That's it.
There's another one. Yeah, okay.
Either G takes or knight takes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's up for you to decide which one you want to analyze first for black.
I would say knight takes.
All right, knight takes. So what would white do after that?
Take with the knight.
Check.
Yep.
And then black would definitely play.
G takes.
Certainly, yes.
Yep.
So then how are we continuing there with white?
Then you're taking F6 with the bishop.
G6, but yes.
G6. Why don't? Sorry, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
No, that's all right.
Sorry, G6 with the bishop.
Like you're shifted over one column each time.
Yeah. And then I assume they would, retake with F pawn.
Definitely.
Then I take with the queen.
Check again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what?
And then he's got to go to queen to 8 or king to H8.
Mm-hmm.
Then rook takes E6.
Yeah, this is where I would stop analyzing.
Okay.
Because that's obviously winning.
Yeah.
You won back your piece. You cleaned up a lot of pawns. You could even take H6 check first.
Yeah. Yeah.
But probably instead of king H8, black should block with the queen on G7 to not lose the H pawn.
Okay.
But white would still be ahead 2 pawns at the end of that variation.
Yeah.
But that was a good calculation there. You visualized that well. Probably this is the best defense, like I said, to stop the pawn from hanging. But
then wouldn't you take E6 and for check again?
Yeah, sure. You could take here. You could play rook takes. You could trade queens and play rook takes. Yeah, anything is winning for white. Okay. Definitely. Any normal option will win for white.
Sure.
All right, so we looked at knight takes. That means
so pawn takes.
G takes is the only other option. All right, now what? After G takes.
I guess it's just about the same thing. Knight takes H6, and then I'd retake with my knight, and then pawn takes. Then Then I guess bishop g6, and then f takes, and then queen takes g6. Right about the same. Pretty close to the same thing.
There is one difference, though. Do you know what the big difference is? Like, you could go to the same position here.
Yeah.
Except there's a knight on h6 instead of a pawn. If you play pawn takes first and you do the same thing, black has a knight on h6.
Mm.
And that's obviously better to end up with an extra knight there. Because then after you take here and he blocks with his knight, it'll be a bishop ahead. Bishop for 3 pawns.
Right.
So that's actually not correct. If they play pawn takes, you can't do the same thing and expect to win. You'll be a piece down. Because you didn't trade the knights, you sacked a second piece. You sacrificed 2 pieces. But hey, let me ask you a question. Sure. Why did white play bishop takes h6? What's the point of that move?
Remove the king's defense.
No. That wasn't what we didn't. We're not going for a baiting attack.
Well, we got rid of the f5 knight, right?
Well, we're trying to take the knight, but we needed to defend our rook first. That was why we took on h6.
Oh yeah. We're
defending our rook. So if they play g takes, we could just take on f5.
Then just do our normal thing that we had done.
Exactly. Exclam. Easy win.
Yeah.
If he takes back, you can even collect a second pawn with a check first, and then take the bishop on f5. Even better.
I hadn't seen that. Yeah, that's good.
But either way, we wanted at least a pawn, and it's a win, actually. So that's the point of bishop h6. It was to connect the rooks, and we're just winning the pawn, actually. It's a free pawn.
Yeah.
Black doesn't do well to take back. He's even probably losing more material then. So that's why black didn't take and just went to queen d7.
Gotcha.
Definitely a smart move, and then I just hightailed it. Yeah. So I got a free pawn. I'll take it, and it doesn't look like I have too many problems. But now we're going to have a talk about the initiative. You know, you hear a lot of people talk about the initiative, and you're like, what's the initiative? Who's the initiative, you know?
Yeah.
Hear all about the initiative. I mean, when somebody has the initiative, it just means that they're trying to make threats against you, and you have to react to the threats. You know, and so you could imagine that the last few moves, white had the initiative.
Yep.
I was attacking this queen, I was taking the pawn, I was dictating the course of the game by my forcing moves, typically threats. But now it's black's turn to make some threats, because I have a really loose piece that they could target. Who do you think I'm talking about?
The knight on g4?
Definitely. Definitely. He's just hanging out there in outer space, floating around. And also he's lined up with a battery. You always talk about batteries, right?
Yeah.
The classic queen and bishop battery here. So, what do you think about that?
Either move pawn to h3 is an option.
Well, it's black's turn, though. See where I ran back?
Yeah.
So that's what I was actually trying to get at, is that black is trying to get the initiative now.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's black's turn. Black sacked a pawn sort of by force, I guess. But now black can start to get some initiative based around my loose knight. But I was wondering if you could tell me how black could try to exploit that.
Black could move knight to e7.
Right, knight f e7.
Yeah.
Now, imagine you're like trying to play for the initiative. Doesn't that move seem like not the most aggressive?
Yeah, you don't want to go backwards.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if it had some cool idea, like I'll go back and then I'm coming over here, that'll show you, but not really, right?
Yeah.
But it's a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I originally thought, knight f to e3, but if he retake it, then he could just retake with his knight, his g4 knight,
Definitely.
and that's not good.
Right. All right, so you can cross that one off.
Yeah.
Where else can that knight go?
Go to h4. You could go to
That's pretty
g3.
aggressive. Yeah. G3 will probably just trade the knights, right? Like
Yeah.
if you played knight G3, I'll take it with something. Knight, I guess.
Yeah.
And then bishop takes G4. Right? But
So
knight H4 definitely
knight
is
H4.
pretty aggressive. But
Okay.
hey, what about knight takes D4?
So then, yeah, I guess then he's choice. White is forced to decide whether to move his knight or whether to have c takes.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, if I had black here, I would be analyzing first of all knight takes D4.
Okay.
It takes a pawn, it attacks a queen,
Yeah.
and it attacks the knight on G4. Like that's a really forcing move.
Yeah.
To do 3 forcing things in one.
Yeah.
But I did like knight F-H4 for the record. So if knight takes D4 is not good, maybe it is knight F-H4.
Okay.
But I would definitely have to look at knight takes D4 like during a tournament game.
Okay.
But okay, so let's say black does play knight takes D4. You already mentioned some of white's options. What do you want to look at first for white there?
I would say my initial thought, which is c takes.
Definitely. Might as well take back.
Yep.
That's pretty obvious what black would do.
Takes the knight on g4.
Yeah. All right, so then what?
Trying to visualize where all the pieces are. Because it's white, it would be white to move at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's knight D4, CD, bishop
Yeah.
G4.
I mean, my initial thought on that is probably, pawn h3, trying to kick the bishop out.
Sure, yeah, that's a reasonable forcing move. But what about some captures? Any captures?
White could take g6 with the bishop.
Yeah, it looks like basically the only reasonable capture of the 2 legal captures, it seems. The other one being queen takes c7. Doesn't look great.
Right.
But okay, so bishop takes g6. Black's move would be pretty obvious there.
Yeah, take with the pawn.
And then white would play?
Queen takes.
Yeah, so actually white wins the pawn yet again. Right?
Yeah.
You know, white already cleaned up the pawn and ran back. Black won the pawn back on d4, but then we just won the pawn on g6 like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could say the f pawn, whichever one you want to say. But, well, what's your evaluation of that position after white takes that pawn on g6, I mean?
I don't know. Like without, again, I'm not very good at being able to kind of visualize it and see it yet. But I like the defense around the king for the white or for white.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, black has some attack, I guess. Um, but I guess all things. I'd probably take white just because of the structure of the
Yeah,
pieces
plus
around
I
the
mean
king.
white's also up a pawn,
Yeah,
so that's good. But black does have an advantage that you didn't just mention. Let's take a look at that position. Knight d4, interesting move. C takes, not the only move. We'll look at some options white has in a minute. Bishop takes g4, bishop takes g6. This is the most straightforward variation. All captures all the time.
yeah,
And I agree that probably white is a little bit better. I'd rather have white
yeah,
because he's up a pawn. But the compensation is the bishop pair.
yeah,
Classic bishop pair for black. And this is making his white square bishop really strong because you don't have a white square bishop.
yeah. And it's a decent position.
Yeah, I mean, he also can keep up the initiative, like hit the queen, double it up, hit f2, keep some attack going on the king.
Yeah. But
I'd still rather be a pawn ahead. And like you said, white's king is pretty safe. Not that black's king's in danger, but it's in the long term, only got one pawn there. It's isolated anyway. So that would already be enough reason for me personally to think maybe knight d4 is not the best move. Although I would like to mention that white could play one of my favorite tactics here, a desperado. You know about desperados? Maybe not.
Mm-mm.
It's more than just a hit song by the Eagles. It's a really typical tactic when both sides have the same piece that's hanging. Like in this position where both sides have a knight hanging.
Mm-hmm.
His knight's hanging, my knight's hanging. Very often you desperado your knight, or your piece, whatever it is, in this case a knight, with a check. Like this, for example.
Yeah.
Where this check is pretty nice. Now he's probably going to take it.
Sure.
And then you'll take the knight.
Yep.
Now, here we can already sort of... Well, I guess you could say white's threatening these two threats.
Yep.
So maybe black should play king h7 or king g7. One of those. I think king h7 is better. I don't really remember why. But we can kind of stop analyzing here because obviously white's better.
Yep.
I mean, white's just got a better structure, didn't give up the bishop pair, and didn't win a pawn. So there's like less good and less bad, but there's no bad.
Yeah.
And it's just a little good. So easy positional advantage here for white.
I see that.
Yeah, so knight h6 is a cool move, even though cd's not bad for white there. That should maybe even still be better, but knight h6 is definitely good. So that's why black didn't play knight d4 and instead played knight f h4. Attacking the knight and putting some pressure on the king, trying to get some initiative against the king still, make some threats towards the king. Now my knight's hanging, so I moved it here. Now, in the interest of keeping the initiative, which way do you think black should take that knight on e5? Which black should do. It's not like a trick question. But which way do you think? Again, trying to keep that initiative going. Make those threats with black.
Well, I initially think the knight.
Mm-hmm. To not give up the bishop pair again.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if he takes with the, I imagine he'd take with the d pawn.
Well, yeah. He's not going to lose the rook, right?
Yeah, and then black moves to bishop c5. I'd like that because I'm on the diagonal with the king.
What's the threat for black there?
If I move the bishop to c5?
Right. After knight takes e5, d takes e5, bishop c5. What's the threat? Correct. Nothing.
Yeah, it was not really one.
Yeah. That's why bishop takes e5.
Okay.
After takes, now it's black's turn. Black can do whatever black wants. Black can make a threat. Black could do a forcing move.
Yeah.
If he did it the other way, then it's white's turn to do whatever white wants. Like this. Knight takes is definitely question mark. This is good for white. White's up a pawn. Black has no threat. It's just white's turn, and white can solidify with any kind of move like that. Looks fine.
Yep.
Any kind of normal move should be just fine.
Yeah.
So that's why bishop e5, just even though it does give up the bishop pair, which I'm not, I'm pro bishop pair. Let me just get that right. Get that on the record. But black's got to keep up the initiative here. The initiative's very important, and black does have a few very interesting forcing moves to consider here. So I was hoping you could look at some.
Well, the first, I know it's not right. The first thing I saw was knight to f4, attacking the bishop, but then you just get taken by the other bishop.
Also, I wanted to mention knight f4 doesn't really attack the bishop. I mean, you could take back the bishop pair, but generally, knight and bishop are close to equal in value.
Yeah.
But knight f4 does threaten the g-pawn. So if it does make a threat, it's against that. But like you said, it's hanging it.
Bishop h3
also attacks the g-pawn.
Yeah, if he moves a g-pawn, then knight to f3 forks the rook and the king.
Yeah. So all right, bishop h3 candidate move. Any other candidate move for black?
I mean, I guess knight g2.
Yeah, I would definitely look at that.
Forcing the king to move.
Yeah, that's a scary looking move, honestly.
Yeah.
And those are the two candidate moves that I would think of.
Okay.
So which one do you want to look at first? I'd probably go with the sacrifice on g2.
All right, let's do that.
That looks like pretty forcing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't play king takes g2, it's already a success for black.
True.
So king takes g2.
At the very least. So king takes g2. Bishop h3.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the king's got to go back to g1 or h1, right?
I don't know.
You're supposed to have all the answers.
I've only looked at this 100,000 times.
Yeah,
so.
sure, right?
Show it to all my new students. But yeah, you got to analyze both those moves.
All right, so knight takes g2, king takes g2, bishop takes h3. Black has a light square bishop, so I'd want to stay on the black squares, so I guess I'd go back to g1 initially.
All right.
I don't know.
How could you? There's no way to know until you analyze it.
So if he goes back to g1, then I would go queen g4.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess he'd go king h1, and then queen g2 would be mate, right?
Well, maybe white wouldn't play king h1 because it hangs mate in 1. You know what I mean?
Show me. So if he goes
knight g2, king g2, bishop h3, king g1, queen g4 check, right?
Right.
Not king h1 because you just hung mate in 1.
So I guess knight g3.
The only other legal move, yes.
Yeah.
Blocking the check and the mate. So how would black continue from there?
You really like to up the difficulty and make me visualize this.
Yeah. Well, if you can't visualize it, people are going to be sacrificing on you left and right, you know?
Maybe knight to h4.
All right. That looks like a good-looking move. It's not very forcing. I mean, maybe some check, but even if you do get the check, it doesn't win. So maybe I'd look for some other moves. If I couldn't find one, I'd play knight h4 maybe in that position for black. But I wouldn't probably even sacrifice that. So I might want to find a stronger forcing move if I want to continue for black there. Otherwise, I'd abandon the variation. But there is a stronger forcing move.
I feel like with the queen...
Yeah, you can renew the mate threat.
Yeah.
Threaten on g2 yet again.
Yeah. Would that be queen f3?
Bingo.
Yeah. Okay.
Queen f3, threatening mate on g2 yet again. So now the next question is, can white stop mate again on the queen g2 mate? Is that stoppable?
Where's the king? Because if you can get the king to f1.
But there's a bishop on h3.
Oh yeah.
He's crisscrossing you. Like the artist Christopher Cross.
Yeah, I don't know that there's anywhere to go.
You're right, you can't move, but you could defend g2.
I could go to... I mean, I don't know. The only thing I see is, bishop e4, but
right.
the pawn's going to take.
That would be successful for black, right?
Yeah.
So can't do that. But how else could you defend g2? Only one other legal way.
Is there still the pawn on f2, or is the pawn on f2 gone?
You tell me. You know the variation as well as I do. I mean, I can visualize the position better than you can, but you could go through the variation again and see.
It's factually correct. Takes. This makes me feel stupid.
Well, this is probably the longest calculation in the whole study, is this one moment. So if there's ever a time to feel stupid, it's now.
I mean, the pawn is still on f2.
Right. But you know,
so I was trying to move the rook right to e2. That would defend it.
But you have to use one of my dad's favorite moves here. Bishop f1.
I was about to say it's either c4 or knight f5.
Oh, you don't know about always play bishop f1?
Yes, not that you meant. Well, I've heard always play king b1.
That's right. That's another one. Always play bishop f1 is one of his oldest, actually.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
You thought about this one?
I know.
It's classic geometry. I assume. Again, I didn't go to math school. But
somebody smarter than me came up with that.
So yeah, this is actually defending. Knight g2 is a mistake because of bishop f1 in that position. King g1 is the best defense. King h1 wouldn't be as good because then this is like check here. Oops.
Yeah.
The king g1, yeah, so king h1 double question mark. King g1 is the way to go because you have bishop f1 here. And now white's winning. And this is why black didn't take and sacrifice, but instead did play bishop h3 exclam. But we'll have to analyze that next time, huh?
Okay.
But all right, great job fighting your way through this. I think that you do a great job finding candidate moves, which is generally the opposite of what people's problems are. Usually they'll just analyze one line really deeply, but you do a great job finding a lot of different options for you and even your opponent. So that's a great habit that I want to reinforce. Obviously, you do need to work on your visualization, especially the deeper you go into the position. It's much more difficult for you to find moves, but we'll work on that.
But I think trying to just, I have a lot of candidate moves. Well, now what do I do with it? You know what I mean?
Right.
I have a hard time deciding what to do, I think.
Yeah, but you just got to keep pushing, That's why I keep pushing you to find move. Then what? And then what would black do? And then what would white do? That's what you got to ask yourself during the game.
Cool.
Anyways, did you want to maybe do same time next week?
Yeah, let's we can do that. I think we can.
That's great.
I'll shoot you a message later if that doesn't work, but we can plan on that.
All right, awesome.
And does this stay up?
Oh yeah, the study, you can come back here. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Usually if we're done with the study after a month or so, I delete it if I remember.
Okay.
A lot of times I leave them up for a while, actually.
And how do I get to it?
You can click that notification bell at the top.
Oh, and it's still there? Okay.
Yeah. Cool. And also you can go to your own profile and go to studies and studies you contribute to, and you can navigate through your studies to find it as well.
Awesome.
Or you can even go to my profile and navigate through my studies, and you'll only see the ones that you're invited to.
Oh, cool. All right. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. This is awesome. It's very, very great.
Great, awesome. I guess I'll talk to you next week then.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Spencer. Have a good one, man.
Take it easy. Bye.
All right. See you. Where is it?